Assalamu alaikum. This is Fayyaz Ahmed Sommoro, and I'm going to talk about sociology. Today I'll inform you about the importance of sociology and whether it's a scoring subject or otherwise. I'll also be discussing about what are those areas which are required to be covered from the sociological point of view, and I'll also discuss why sociology and what is the overlapping of sociology with other subjects as well, basically. Sociology is a subject which is a very common. It is the subject which does not require some deep knowledge or deep knowledge about other subjects as well, because the area of this subject is a tale of town, and it does not require any background for the students as well, basically. It usually talks about those areas for which we are already familiar. It talks about the family, it talks about the culture, about the community, about the social problems, about the social stratification, about the social mobility, then social control. So these are those areas which are very, very familiar to us, and we always have been listening, we have been facing with all these issues of the sociology as well, basically. Regarding sociology, to get good numbers, every subject has got its core competency. And in sociology, there are 4 areas. And if a student is eager to understand or to get good numbers in sociology, then he is required to learn about those 4 areas, and he needs to have some competency over those 4 areas. For example, you will always have one question from a school of thoughts in sociology. So when we talk about the school of thought, it is basically we are talking about Allama ibn Khaldun, we are talking about Auguste Comte, we are talking about Herbert Spencer, we are talking about the Emile Durkheim, about the Karl Marx, Max Weber, and Robert King Martin as well, basically. And every school of thought is very famous because of his theory. Like Ibn Khaldun has the Muqaddimah and Asabiya. Like Auguste Comte is talking about the religion of the humanity and the law of 3 stages. Spencer is very famous. He is talking about the social evolution theory. Then militant and military versus industrial theory. Then he is talking about the organic analogy as well, basically. And when you talk about the Karl Marx, then the theory, conflict theory is very famous. And Emile Durkheim is very famous because of the theory of the suicide. And Robert Martin is very famous because of the social strain. So as a student, it is very important for him that he should know, first of all, that what are the social perspectives in sociology. That he must know about the evolutionary perspective, about the conflict perspective, about the symbolic or interactions perspective, and about the that is the 4th perspective, which is normally called as the evolutionary perspective. Evolutionary perspective, functionalist perspective, then symbolic or interactions perspective, and 4th one is okay. So these are the 4 perspectives. Evolutionary perspective, one is called the evolutionary perspective, then is the conflict perspective, the 3rd one is the functionalist perspective, and 4th one is the symbolic or interactionist perspective, basically. So this is the one question, and every year there's at least 1 or 2 questions from a school of thought from the theories of the sociology. So that's very clear. Number 2, you will have always a question from the social research, and social research is not Greek to us, it is not Greek to you as well, basically, because you have been conducting research, you have learned about research when you are doing your bachelor's or your master's. So in research, you are not going to ask to write the synopsis or write about the thesis or the proposals. You'll be required to talk about the fundamentals of the social research. For example, how to define research, methodologies of the social research, the salient features of good research, technicalities of the good research. So this question is very important from the exam point of view. Every year there's at least also 1 or 2 questions from the paper point of view. The 3rd one is a very important area, which is called the social problems of Pakistan. So when you talk about the social problems of Pakistan, then we have got a number of problems such as the juvenile delinquency. We talk about the child labor, about the child abuse, about the brain drain, and many issues are there that are very important part and parcel of this paper. So these are 3 questions you will have to attempt, and you know very well that these are 3 areas from which you have to attempt the paper. And the 4th area, which is very common, which is the main point from the sociological terms point of view. Like, you'll be given an opportunity to talk about the culture, and within the culture there is a question from the ethnocentrism and xenocentrism. Then there is the society, then community, difference between society and community, types of society, then family, types of the family, then marriage, then we got a social stratification, then social control, and some other areas areas which are very famous, and it should not be Greek to you as well basically. So there are 4 questions that you need to attempt, and these are the 4 areas. So now guessing from these 4 areas should not be a difficult task, because you already know these are the 4 areas and you have to attempt the 4 questions as well. So sociology is a very famous because it already tells you about the question, about the nature of questions as well basically. And again, if we talk about the trends of sociology with regard to score or scoring, then it's a good subject. It is a very highly scoring subject as well, because of the reason behind it is a subject wherein you need to be descriptive, you need to write, and you always write the areas for which you are already familiar with basically. So sometimes for the last 2 years the assessment criteria of sociology has got changed. Earlier it was the approach of the student that okay, we need to prepare only the theories of sociology, but now they are looking at other areas as well. They wanted to know whether you know the application of sociology, whether you know the information about the social issues of Pakistan, and you can make a nexus between issues and theoretical assumptions or theories as well. Similarly, when you talk about the subject overlapping, this subject has a huge overlapping. I can without any of doubt say it is a subject which plays very important role in your essay writing, in the composition, in the gender, and the criminology, and Islamiyat, and many subjects as well. Because when you are writing or when you are discussing any aspect of the subject, it ultimately has to take some resources from the society, and sociology is a subject which is not the study of the individual, neither is the only study of the individuals, it is a study of the entire human and non-human environment as well basically. So sociology covers the political, economical, social, technological, geographical, and other areas as well. So when you are appearing in your paper, ultimately you will have to take care of all these areas as well basically. Now, how to get good numbers in sociology? So if you talk about getting good numbers in sociology, then there are certain areas which you need to cover. Number 1, you must have a complete grip over syllabus. If a student has got a complete grip over syllabus, then he is able to get good numbers. Number 1. Number 2, the student must know the core competency or the core areas of sociology, which already I have discussed. That's about the theories, about the social research, about the social problems of Pakistan, and about the common topics of the sociology as well. This will make you more easier, and if you are well known about these 4 areas, it's a fact that you will get good numbers, because nothing is Greek to you, and the paper which you are going to face in your exam, you know already very well. You can guess very well, because the areas are very clear. Nothing is hidden wherein you are confused as well basically. Similarly, if you know about the issues and you are a good reader, you have got some hands on the newspaper and some other books as well, and you can generate, you have got some reading habit. And again, the writing habit. Writing is very important. If you really wanted to get good numbers, then there are the only 3 criteria. Number 1 is the writing, number 2 is the writing, and number 3 is the writing. So there's a very common quote that reading makes man perfect, speaking and attending conferences ready-made, and writing exact. So from the sociological point of view, if you really wanted to get good numbers, then you have to write. It's one of the important criterion to get good numbers and to pass out with the flying colors as well basically. And regarding the sociological material, there's a book of sociology which is covering your entire topics according to your Federal Public Service Commission and other competitive exams as well basically. Regarding suggestions of getting good numbers in sociology, there are 2 books very famous. One is Hot on a Hunt, and second one is the Shankar Rao, an Indian writer. So if you are reading Shankar Rao's book, it will definitely give you some fundamentals of the sociological perspectives and sociological knowledge, but the other chapters are only from the Indian perspective. So better to read his first 4, 3 or 5 chapters. And with regard to the other book that's very famous and very good it will construct the sociological knowledge in your mind, and you will be able to understand the sociology in its religious perspective. Thank you very much.